LEGO seems to be doing more with Ninjago recently, kind of turning it into more of a multimedia franchise. Of course, Ninjago has always been set on selling overpriced LEGO sets, but it's been doing more than that recently, like comics, some even being canon to the show, and just recently made something for its more mature audience with Ninjago Legends Monstrosity. I kinda hope to see the Ninjago brand grow in more ways, because if they put as much effort into something as much as they did with Ninjago Legends Monstrosity, we could get some really cool stuff in the future. As long as it's longer, because that's my only complaint, is that Legends Monstrosity was not long enough. But there's one part of the Ninjago franchise that I wish had more attention on it. Video games. For how much Ninjago is LEGO's moneymaker, you'd think that LEGO would plaster Ninjago's face everywhere. And they kinda do. But isn't it just so weird that despite there are so many LEGO games based on so many franchises, LEGO themes included with LEGO City Undercover, that Ninjago only has like one main console game and it's based on the movie not a lot of people care about? I like it though. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that there is a huge desire to play as my favorite Ninjago characters in a video game, in the main TV universe, even if it's not canon. But little did I know that my answer, while still not being quite answered, was answered a little more than I thought. The only problem is those games were on handhelds, and moreover, handhelds I couldn't care less about. But even if I did care about them, it's undeniable that the Ninjago games just being relegated to handheld consoles lessens their impact and just makes them look cheaper and more like just a simple cash grab, rather than actually making a console game for the TV that actually moves the franchise forward. That would be incredible for LEGO game standards, let's not kid ourselves. But since LEGO refuses to make a console Ninjago game, or even a Ninjago game at all, and willing to just blue ball us by making us see the possession suits in LEGO Party, which as much as a jump scare that was to see at Summer Game Fest, a blue ball is a blue ball. Let's see what we do have and see if any of these games scratch that itch, as Ninjago has actually had 4 real video games, 3 of them actually being in the Ninjago TV universe. So I'm gonna make a video on each of these games separately and give each of them a fair shot, starting with LEGO Battles Ninjago on Nintendo DS, or if you're European, LEGO Ninjago the video game. That's right, on the Nintendo DS you can play Sonic Rush and Ninjago. The reason why they called it LEGO Battles Ninjago in the US is because the game is technically a spin-off of a game called simply LEGO Battles, which is pretty much the same thing except it goes through 3 LEGO themes instead of 1. I feel like this kind of undermines the game though, as while yeah, the gameplay is very similar, I feel like it has enough of its own style, and the fact that they felt the need to call it that in North America is really weird to me. Plus, the storyline of the game is just a retelling of the pilot, so I mean, technically, this is LEGO Ninjago the video game. I can't tell if they were undermining the game, basically just telling people up front, hey, this is just that game, but with Ninjago. Or if they wanted to try to appeal to fans of LEGO Battles to draw them in, I have no idea. It's just really weird all around. Well anyway, I'm gonna be totally honest, I have a lot of bias going into this game, other than the obvious thing of I'm finally playing a Ninjago video game based on the pilot that I have absolute nostalgia for, but just seeing the sprites, like seeing my favorite characters in a DS sprite format, is just so dang charming. Look at Cole, look how derpy he looks. I love him. Sensei Wu has these weirdly big eyes that make him look like he has googly eyes all the time, which is really funny. The interesting thing about the game as a whole is, like I've said about 3 times already, or were you not listening? The game's story is based around the pilot, but it's not a one-to-one conversion, as you actually don't meet Kai for a few minutes in, and the game actually starts with Sensei Wu, Zane, Jay, and Cole. It's not for very long, but it's so cool because Jay, Cole, and Zane just get thrown into the pilot, which puts so much focus on Kai and kind of made them feel like side characters. Nothing wrong with that, it works in the pilot of course, but I like how since this game does have to put in more scenes of the pilot, it introduces them first, making them feel more intertwined into the overall plot. There are a lot more notable changes from the pilot though. First of all, Jay isn't a creep. Like literally, not at all. The scene where the ninja are introduced is cut down by a lot, but they include the line of Kai asking about his sister, but then they stop it right there. Honestly, for the best. But this does come back around, because then when the ninja do save Nia later in the game, Nia actually hits on Jay first, when in the game you wouldn't even know Jay was interested in saving a damsel in distress. This kind of adds a little bit more context to the pilot if you think about it, because while in the pilot it kind of implies that maybe Nia has a crush on Jay because of the way she responded blue was her favorite color, if this game is anything to go by, it shows that she did have more interest in him at the start. I actually kind of like this a little bit more, as even in Season 1, Jay and Nia's relationship felt very one-sided, so getting a small but cute exchange like this at the start and maybe toning down Jay's creepiness would have made the relationship feel a bit more natural on both sides. Anyway, the more unfortunate lie that they did cut was one of my favorite lines from the pilot. Whoa. You never said anything about a fourth. It's always three. 3 by mice, 3 musketeers. Also, with the charming dialogue boxes, there's actually full motion video cutscenes, and brand new cutscenes at that, not just ripped from the original pilot. But I think these cutscenes are actually pretty cool, as primitive as they are. The game's soundtrack is pretty far removed from Ninjago though, as it can be pretty generic. Well, excuse me, except for the 3 notes of the overture you get every time you open a door. And a similar 5 notes every time you die, only if Jay Vincent's guitar was out of tune. Gross. But now let's finally talk about the gameplay part of this game. The game is actually a lot different compared to other LEGO games, as it's not really a platformer or an adventure game or whatever, but it's a real-time strategy game, though it does feel like it adapts the TT games formula we're familiar with. With multiple characters moving on screen all controlled by AI, studs for currency, red bricks you can find and collect which adds cheats to the game we'll talk about later, and it even reuses a lot of familiar sound effects you'll hear in those LEGO games. But honestly, we're just missing co-op. If that was here, then this would be basically an asymmetrical TT Games LEGO game, which would be really cool honestly. Though the game does include one additional gameplay style that makes it different. About, I'd say, 90% of the game structure-wise kind of feels like a TT LEGO game where it's linear levels, and you just solve some puzzles, maybe collect stuff, but that's about it. But then there are these additional missions in each act where you're in an arena-type setting and have to build structures and fight off a whole bunch of enemies taking over certain areas of the map. I did not like these. These slowed the game way down for me, and I am not a big fan of this type of gameplay. I think the idea is pretty cool, but at least the way they do it in this game is just kind of slow and boring. The red bricks did kind of help out in this regard, as I happened to get one that constantly regenerates your health, and it made these sections so much faster, which I appreciated. But that's kind of a backhanded compliment when you think about it, you know, giving me a way to speed up slow parts of your game. Either way, the game works fine. The game plays exactly as you can probably tell looking at this footage, and there's nothing really wrong with it. I feel like it'd be more impressive if there was something wrong with it. Though while the AI does play pretty nice most of the time, a lot of the times some characters can get stuck, like, Zane, come on.
One moment. I'm getting a signal.
Oh yeah? Does it sound anything like this? Move your butt, Zane!
There's also some instances where you have to move every single character to the end of a stage to finish the mission, and if you lose track and forget to select all of the characters, you have to just sit there and wait until Jay comes all the way back from the other side. I gotta be honest though, I did not finish this game, and the reason for that is the final level I've come to the conclusion is nearly impossible. It's another arena type level taking place in the underworld, which means everything is out to get you and you die in what basically feels like seconds. The poor masters of Spinjitzu are not equipped in this situation, so even if you prepare as much as possible, even with cheats on for faster building, faster brick collecting, regenerating health, and even actually straight up cheating by seeing the enemy forces on the map, it feels impossible. But it's not even the amount of enemies that's the problem, it's that these enemies have absolutely bullcrap attacks that end the ninja in seconds. On top of having abilities that can freeze the ninja in place and leave them open for attack. And most of the time, even though the ninja aren't blue, they are still frozen, meaning you can't move or attack and you don't know exactly the moment you can use them. All of this leads to mini attempts that last for under 7 minutes, wiping out all of them in one swoop. And once your ninja die, you have to spend bricks to revive them, and then you have to upgrade them back into ninja status, which you not only have to catch them as they are sprinting into the heat of war, but it's a waste of valuable seconds, still giving the skeletons an advantage. I was kinda already getting bored of this game reaching up to this point, and I was ready to be done with the game, but as soon as I hit this, it was just over. Like, what in the world? Why? Why? What is that? And with a bit of a weird anticlimactic ending, that's kinda all I can say about this game. The game ends very similarly to the pilot, even though Samukai is somehow implied alive after he used all 4 golden weapons, so okay then. And the ninja victory pose. There is a skeleton storyline to the game, but I'm gonna be honest, as cool as that does sound, I do not care. Overall, I think the game is pretty cool. Nothing great or all that memorable, but it's mostly a good experience, of course, if you are a Ninjago fan and get a kick out of all this style as much as I do. So, aka, if you're a video game dork and you like Ninjago and you want those two worlds to collide, especially if you're into sprite-based games, then this is the game for you. Again, except for that final level. Actual trash. Like, actual trash. Well, anyway, that was the first game, and we're off to a pretty decent start. But honestly, I came into this game with low expectations, as that was a DS game. But I'm pretty stoked to try out the rest of these games, with our next two coming up definitely being the most unique, and what I made this video series for to try out. So, join us next time as we take a look at Ninjago Ninjroids. Subscribe if you're interested or just interested in Ninjago content in general, and I will see you then.